Brian Furlong here with Pitching Performance. Today we've got some slow motion video of Eric Wordekemper, AAA pitcher with the New York Yankees. This footage was captured in 2011 in Indianapolis. This is Wordekemper warming up before going into finish up a game. You can see he's a relief pitcher, so he solely throws out of the stretch. So you can see him using a little knee-to-knee action there. Wordekemper experienced some pretty good success in the lower levels of the minor leagues, and he's spent the last 2 years in AAA. Spent, I think, all of the 2011 spring training with the big league team, so he's been pretty close to getting up there in the big leagues. Here's some close-ups on his arm action just to kind of see what's going on there. Pretty clean, got a nice long, loose action. He comes through at probably a high 3/4 to straight 3/4 slot. I know one of the adjustments that he made when he was probably in high A or maybe low A was to adjust his posture in order to get his arm slot a little bit lower. So he was way over the top, and his torso would kind of contort to the side in order to get there, like pretty much everyone who throws over the top. And so he brought his posture back into an upright position, and in doing so he brought his arm slot down to that 3/4 slot that he's at now. You can see he does a good job of using his lower half to create power and energy. There's some clips here from a different angle that are going to give you a really good idea of what he's doing in his back leg and how that translates into his front leg to help create power and energy. You see a good drive, you got nice long stride. He gets good extension from his back hip, his back knee, and his back ankle. He works into his front leg, and his front leg is athletic as he lands, and then it firms up and drives back against that front hip to help create more torque, which translates into more velocity for him. There's a set position. He's got his hands low, and he keeps them back a little bit. You can notice there's minimal movement right there. He's got a very simple delivery, easily repeatable, which allows him to be consistent, you know, both with his mechanics and then also with commanding the baseball. Good glove side on target. And you see that glove side kind of firm up and stay connected with his target. So he maintains a solid connection between his delivery and where he wants the baseball to go, and that glove side is a big part of that, kind of directing his energy. Nice athletic position, it's set. You see a little flex in that back knee. Function of two things right there. He's got his weight preloaded in that back leg, and then he also has that position in his legs because of the slope of the mound. Just makes it a little bit more comfortable and easier to maintain a good posture when you're standing on uneven ground. This is his last delivery right here, and I'm going to go ahead and just take it through step by step, and we'll talk about some of his checkpoints. So right here, this is his set position. We just talked about what he's got going on with his back leg. Hands are set low and back. I believe they're just above belt. You're going to go into his knee lift right here, and you see his knee moving up and back towards his throwing shoulder, and so that exposes his back hip pocket at balance point. Okay, so he's got his hips closed up. He's in good posture. Hands had very minimal movement again. You know, in fact, I had been exposed to some coaches who actually taught people to raise their hands as their knee came up, which, you know, they kind of sold it as a way to help create more rhythm in the delivery. I think most modern pitching coaches these days are trying to minimize unnecessary movement and just kind of simplify things as much as you can. So he does a good job of kind of keeping things still. He maintains his posture and balance as he gets up into that knee lift. And now you're going to see his knee work down and his hands follow. Okay, so his hands have dropped, and now his weight is still over that back leg. Okay, so the energy is still stored in that back side. He's about to go into his drive phase, and now he's working down that line, creating energy and momentum towards his target. Big stride right there, and See his glove side working with his front foot as he gets separation. And as he gets into that foot strike, okay, so there's foot land right there. Okay, so this is where he would be in his power position. So elbows pretty close to equal and opposite. He actually has his back elbow slightly above his shoulder, and his front elbow slightly below his shoulder. He's going to go ahead and get full extension through the hips, the knee, and the ankle. Okay, so this is a pretty good shot of that right there. And this is maximum external rotation. And watch his front leg as he gets into that maximum external rotation position. His front leg is still a little flexed right here, so he landed into an athletic front leg. And it's driving back, and you can kind of see it force that hip backwards a little bit. That helps create more torque, as we mentioned before. So you're creating a lot of drive and energy in that back leg, but you've got to have a good strong front leg in order to accept that energy and actually firm up for you to really get that energy moving through your body in an optimal fashion. Glove side is still strong. You see his glove side right there over his front foot, front of his chest. Good connection with his target right there. And let's say that this is maximum external rotation right here. He's got his shoulders square, his hips are now square, and he's going to bring that arm forward. So essentially everything he's done in his body, you know, from his stride to his hip rotation to his torso turning, has been building up through that body, and now that energy is in his arm, and it's going to come forward in what's known as the fastest movement in sports. Pitcher's arm internally rotating, just coming forward essentially, up to 9,000 degrees per second, which is just insane when you think about how much energy comes through your shoulder and your elbow when you throw a baseball. You know, 90 plus miles an hour. I think tonight, on this night, Wordy was sitting right around 92, maybe touching 93, something like that. Typically operates in the low 90s, although I believe he's been up into the mid 90s. Right here, releasing, you see that ball coming out pretty much at front foot, maybe a little bit ahead of front foot. You can see some pronation. You see his hand right there, and you can see that's his palm facing us, so his hand has begun to pronate. It's actually turned so that his palm is now facing away from his body. That's something that happens every time you throw a baseball. Whenever you throw a baseball, even if it's a curveball, which a curveball, his palm, at this point right here, his palm is facing his target. When you throw a curveball, you could visualize him in like a karate chop position with his palm facing the side of his head. Even on a curveball, your hand turns over and pronates like that. Okay, so there's his finish, and you can see that glove side stays strong. He gets to pretty close to a back flat position and finishes squared up on his target, or actually probably rotates over a little bit. But you can see he does a pretty good job of, one, maximizing what he can do with his body to help create hand speed or help create velocity. Number two, he's got a very simple delivery, easily repeatable mechanics which allow him to be consistent with his command. He's the type of pitcher who fairly dependable as a mid to late inning reliever, comes in, throws strikes, does a good job of being efficient. So there's a short video clip of Eric Wordekemper, AAA pitcher with the New York Yankees.